Hello and welcome to the Medium Next Door, and my name is Bonnie Page. So happy to have you viewing today. I am also the author of Ask the Psychic and Ask the Medium Next Door, opening the window to the spirit world. And today we're going to talk about the 5 most asked questions that I am asked. I also write a weekly column in 3 different papers called Ask the Psychic. So guess what? I get asked a lot of questions, always from viewers and also from people that I am actually giving readings to. So I thought I would share that with you all today. So I'm going to start with a question that was just in this week's column, and it came in from Katie. Katie wrote in and said, "Dear Bonnie, I hope you can answer some questions for me that I have about what happens when we die. My mom just passed away 2 weeks ago, and I was not there to say goodbye. It is haunting me to know if she knows how much I love her, and I really did want to be there when she passed. She passed in the nursing home in the night, and I want to know that someone was there with her when she went to heaven. I have a lot of guilt for not being able to be with her. And Katie, I am so sorry for your loss, and I know that in the last year, a lot of people have not been able to be with the people that they love during their passing, and this has also happened to me. So I will answer some of those questions for you, and I so hope that this helps everyone out there that this has happened to. I wonder who was with her when she passed and went to heaven. No one is ever alone when it's your transitioning time. And sometimes this transitioning time can take up to 3 days. But I know for sure when I tell you that someone is there as a clairvoyant medium that can see the spirit world, I know for sure that someone is always there. And so I'm going to tell you a little story about this that I learned years ago. I was laying in my own bed, and all of a sudden this white light appeared all around me, and I looked at my arms, my body, I was all lit up. I followed this white light way up, just like this. I'm laying in bed, I go like this, and I'm like, Jesus was there. And I said to him, "Did I die?" And I went to look back at my body, and Jesus was gone. But why would Jesus show me that? He knows that I like to talk, and I love to teach, and I love to tell people about heaven and what it's like. So he wanted me to know that he was there with open arms, always, and there's always this beautiful white light. Not only is Jesus there, there's also your family members and even your soul family. So anyone that you've been having a relationship with, your immediate family, your in-laws, your soul family is also there waiting for you. And how do I know that? Well, a couple of days before my dad passed, I was sleeping, and in my conscious mind I came to this beautiful room in heaven, and I could actually see all of my dad's family actually waiting for them. waiting for me to actually be able to see them. So when I did, they started waving, and one of these people that were in this spirit room, in that waiting room to welcome home my dad, was his mother, who had actually passed when he was 4 years old, and I got to see her, and she was waving. She was so happy that I was able to see her. So your Jesus and your family, and also your animals, right? Your animals, there are fur babies. They are there waiting to greet you as well. And I've seen puppies run up to people and lick their face once again, and it's a happy moment. A lot of people have really missed their animals that they've had in their lifetime. And I used to say, you get them all back. You get them all back. So just know that your beloved animals are waiting for you when you pass as well. The other thing I'd like to share with you is the story of my dad being in the hospital, because every time he was in his hospital bed, every time I would close my eyes, I would see my mother's face, and I would say, oh, my mom's waiting to take my dad home. And so that night, before I left the hospital, so I can really relate to Katie, I kissed my dad goodbye, and my dad was 93, and he so wanted to be going home and seeing my mom, who was in heaven. And so I kissed him, and I said, Dad, if you see a white light or a mom's face, go ahead and get the heck out of here. And that night, my dad passed. So Katie, I totally understand what you're feeling, but I don't want you to feel the guilt that's associated with that. I gave my dad that last kiss, and I gave him permission almost. Go ahead home. Go ahead home, Dad. It's okay, right? So passing when no one is there, it can leave you with that guilty feeling of, oh my goodness, were they afraid? What were they going through? But when you realize that everybody from the spirit world is welcoming them, right? Making them feel so much love and so much peace, it takes some of that guilt away, I hope, because that's what I want you to get from today's question. And not only that, when I'm giving readings in my center, a lot of times spirits from heaven, of course, loved ones will come through, and they'll say, I didn't want anyone there when I was passing. I was a private person, and I didn't want anyone to be there. I just wanted to go quietly. The other reason that people in heaven give me for wanting to pass alone is they don't want you to have that as your last memory of your loved one. So just know that everything that happens, the way it does, has a reason and a meaning behind it. So sometimes your loved ones don't want you to see those last breaths. They tell me they want you to remember them from a beautiful memory that you have of them. Not the last moments, but all of the memories that you've shared with this person. So having guilt, do not have guilt. No one in heaven wants you, their loved ones here, to feel guilty for anything that's happened. Things work out very much as they are supposed to, believe it or not. And we don't always know why, but it does. So we don't always know the reason or the purpose, but it's always divinely guided. You almost have to have that faith that everything is divinely guided as it is supposed to be. So another viewer wrote in, Robin, and asked, will I see my loved ones again when I go to heaven? And the answer to that is absolutely. Not only are they just always just waiting for you as that welcoming committee that they are, you'll definitely see your loved ones again. And just think, when you're all together, because we're a soul, and our souls go to heaven, and then we're with our soul family. There's no more pain that we've had down here. There's no more lessons to be learned in heaven. Earth is our schoolroom, and that's why we have bumps in the road. That's why things go bad. That's why there always seems to be something new coming up that is giving us those bumps in the road, because they're really about lessons to be learned. Lessons to be learned. So when we're all back home in heaven, all of our soul family, then there's no more learning lessons up there, right? So it's just that unconditional love that we have for each other. In fact, even if you are having a difficult relationship with someone here, it's really much so that your soul could learn a lesson, maybe of compassion, maybe sympathy, whatever you signed up for your soul to learn this lesson, and for your soul to just, when your soul learns this lesson, can expand and grow, and you just become so much more when you can get through and learn a lesson. So yes, you're going to see everyone, but it's more like, oh, this unconditional love that they have for you and that you have for them. And there's just a knowing of why things happened the way they did. So, oh yes, and so am I going to see my loved ones? So even before you get to heaven, you're going to be able to see or feel or know or maybe hear your loved ones even when you're still here. And how do you say that? Well, it's all in a new form of communication by looking for signs. So I actually had a lady came in for a reading, and she was really distraught. She felt like she had gotten no signs, no one had come to see her, no nothing, and she actually was pretty angry that nobody was reaching out to her. But what happens is sometimes when we're grieving so hard that our hearts aren't open to receiving even the smallest signs that our loved ones can be sending us. So sometimes if you don't think that you're getting some signs from your loved ones, you very much can lay in bed at night, and before you go to bed, just close your eyes and tell them that you want to have a visit, because we visit heaven at night, and we're not always meant to remember that. But I know that I've woken up and I was having a whole conversation with someone up in heaven, and then I came to consciousness, and of course you don't remember the whole conversation, but I know that it happens for sure. So we visit heaven at night. So that's why sometimes we're really missing people down here on earth, but in heaven, they know that they can talk to us. They know they can reach out to us. So this one lady was so anxious about getting some signs, and when her loved one started coming through so strongly with me, she was like, he's talking to you, but he hasn't been talking to me. And I said, no, he's here because he loves you. He's talking to me to get a message to you. But do you know that beautiful person in heaven gave me the signs that he had been reaching out to his daughter? So I said, have you been hearing the knocking on the door? Yes. Have you been seeing the cardinal? Yes. Well, that's your Dad's way of reaching out to you. But because she was such in a deep grief, she just wasn't able to open up and to see some of the signs. So, do you know what signs you can get from the spirit world? Sometimes people don't know. They'll come for readings and I'll say, have you been finding the coins? And they'll be on the carpet. It's a green carpet and there's quarters. Yes, that's my dad, or that's my mom, or that's my son or daughter. Yes, and how about the lights flickering? Because we're all energy, and that's how I talk to people in the spirit world. We're energy, they're energy. I just open up my energy, and therefore I can see and hear and feel the spirit world. So they can even, you know, the little spirit people, your mom and dad, they can have a little fun with you. They can move your keys. They can hide things on you. They can turn on a light. They can turn off a light. They really can knock at the door. Sometimes during a reading, I'll say, oh, have you heard the stairs creaking lately? And not in a scary way, not in a scary way. And they'll say, yes, I just thought it was the dog going up and down the stairs. So there's so many signs that we can get from the spirit world, and that becomes your new way of conversation. Like the phone can even ring. Did you ever pick up the phone and nobody's there and you're like, well, that was strange? Or I'm just listening from spirit now. They want me to tell you, if you're walking around and all of a sudden you have a thought of them and it starts to make you cry a little bit, that's when their soul is blending very close with your soul, and it's emotional. So you start to cry, and then it goes away because their soul just wants you to know that they're there with you, and then they back away a little bit. So many signs from heaven. And if you don't know all them and you want to go on my website, bonniepagemedium.com, there is a video just on the signs that you can receive from your loved ones in heaven. So if you don't know them all, please look for them. But if you get a feeling like this big black crow flies by you and you get a feeling, oh, my dad liked black crows, right? That's a sign that your dad's right there. I actually love it when I'm giving readings and the person in heaven says, oh, tell them I was with them when they washed their car today. And I'll go, did you wash your car? And they're like, yes. So know that your loved ones know what you're doing every day. They don't need to watch every minute, everything, but they do know what's happening in your life. They know the celebrations. They know the times of joy. They know your sadness. And so when you're sad, they usually are blending in with you even a little bit more. So just watch for the signs, and that becomes your new way of communicating. I also tell people to get maybe even a deck of cards, angel cards, or I have message from heaven cards, and you can draw a card for yourself every day and ask the spirit world, what do I need to know today, or what would you like to tell me, and draw a card for yourself. So it's just a new way of communicating with your loved ones, but they're never far away. So Carrie wrote in and asked me, are my loved ones still around me? She said, I felt them a lot at first, and then it seemed like the communication, the signs went away. So Carrie, yes, why do you feel everyone when they pass a little bit stronger when they're trying to give you those signs? So what happens is, it's like parents, we go away on vacation, but we left our kids here. The first thing we do is call and say, hey, we got here, we're safe, how are you? Same thing when they pass. They work so hard to get that message to you that they are okay. And they are okay. They are okay. And so, yes, and then I'm just reading my notes that Carrie wrote. The other thing is, when you think about your loved ones, that's when they come even closer, because it's almost like, oh, I'm thinking about this person, and they actually get that from up there. They're like, oh, Bonnie's thinking of me. Let's go give her a sign, or let's go blend with her. So when I'm saying blending, you might be sitting here like this, like I am, and all of a sudden you get an overwhelming feeling of love. That can be a loved one blending their spirit with your spirit. So just a thought brings them close. But let me tell you, so you get a lot of signs sometimes at first, but we don't want to be dependent on our loved ones in heaven. So they want you to start living your journey here on earth without being dependent on them. So sometimes they'll come in real close, and then other times they'll just back away because they're kind of busy up there. They have jobs, they have hobbies, they're doing fun things, they're helping out. They're being your guides. They're working hard for you. So sometimes you'll get a lot of signs, and sometimes if you don't really need a sign, like it's not like you're upset or something, they back away a little bit and let you have your journey here on earth. So sometimes a lot of signs, and sometimes a little less, but a thought will bring them closer to you. Great. One more question. Jake asked, why am I not seeing any signs from heaven? And I think I went over this a little bit. Grieving so hard, and just knowing the signs from heaven. And I would tell Jake, you need to go on my website and look at all the signs, because you might be missing some. You might be missing some. So I hope I've answered some of your questions today that have been on your mind. And just to make sure that you really took to heart the first question, if you're not there when your loved one passed, that's what was meant to be. They don't want you to hold on to guilt, or your loved ones, they are happy when you are happy, and that's all they want for you. So please don't have any guilt, and know that when someone passes, they are truly loved, and they are welcomed in with open arms. And even if you weren't there, they were welcomed by so many people. And remember, once they get there, they can tune right in and see you. So I always tell people at the end of a reading, my clients that come in, just to really try to live a joyous life, because, you know, if you switched and reversed the roles, would you want to see your loved ones upset and feeling guilty, or would you want to see them full of joy and happiness and taking you on their journey, right? So when I go someplace down here that's going to be fun, I tell my loved ones, come along with me, come along with me. So take your loved ones on your journey with you, and please make it a happy one. And if you'd like to ask me a question, either for one of my columns or this show, The Medium Next Door, please go to bonniepagemedium.com, and there's a tab there to ask a question. So I thank you all for being here today. I hope this has helped you, and just live a blessed life, and know that we're never alone. We're never alone. Thank you so much, everyone.